Hi, everyone. Good day
Hey.
to you, wherever you're joining us from in the world. You're welcome to the official launch of Adventures 2021 Live. We're going to be talking about the theme, we're going to talk about creative processes and all of that. But before that, I'm going to welcome my guests and I'll ask everybody to introduce themselves. So, welcome to all of you. Thank you for being here with me this lovely afternoon. Um, I'll ask you to kindly introduce yourselves, your name, and just talk a little bit about yourself and also about your specific role in being part of the festival. So I will start with you, Akosia, because you're right next to me on the screen.
So yeah, my name is Akosia Hansen, director for Adventures Live 2021. And yeah, part of the working group, and excited to be here to talk about this year's festival. A lot's happened since last year. Last year was amazing. We actually could meet physically in Accra, and this year is different. It's still going to be transformational, but yeah, definitely ready to talk about that. Thanks.
Hola.
Hey, Fatima, and it's really good to see you all. I'm all the way on the other side of the continent in Rwanda, currently in a small town in the west of Rwanda called Kibuye. And I have been a fan of Adventures for a very long time, the blog, and then of course the festival. And so both last year and this year, I joined the working group to help with organizing and just conceptualizing as well the theme and how the whole program looks. It's so wonderful to be part of this community. It always feels like a very safe space and a very free space. And I'm excited that after months of all the really hard work that's gone in, we're finally getting to start sharing and opening up the conversation more. So looking forward to this. And thanks to everyone who's tuned in.
Thank you. Hi, Michael.
Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Michael. This is my first time working with the group. I am an illustrator, so I worked on the artwork for the festival alongside Kafui. He came up with the concepts, and I sort of helped him come to a visual end with the artwork. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm always excited to meet up with other queer people and like Africans and just get a good community going. I'm excited.
Yay, thank you. We're all excited. So before we began, I wanted to give like a background into like Adventures Live. Before we begin, I want to give a background into Adventures Live. Adventures Live has been running since 2019. In 2019, we had the inaugural festival ever. It was hosted in Accra. It was Pan-African. It was feminist, it was queer, it was fun, it was educative. And then last year in 2020, we also hosted the festival. We had a series of like online activities, and then that led up to like the final festival at a physical venue. And then we're back again this year for the third time in a row, bringing to you transformational adventures, sex, power, magic, and it's also exciting. And so I wanted to check with everyone, just a quick, check-in on how are you feeling now and how have you been feeling in the past year, because I know we've been planning this since like literally the beginning of the year. For myself, I know that I was deeply exhausted, but I'm super excited now that the festival is finally coming to life and like we can literally see like our work like in real form. So to you, Paula, how you feeling now and how you feeling also like about the festival?
I would say I'm feeling at like 15 out of 10 about the festival, 5 out of 10 about life. So this is a nice balance between, like I said, it's been such it's always a really warm space. And not just in terms of the conversations we're creating, but even within the working group. And I've really appreciated that. I was part of the working group as well last year. I'm a bit far away, I guess, from a lot of the center of the action, but that connection just stays alive. And this year I was a bit disappointed that I couldn't engage in the way that I'd wanted just because of life. But I also, again, just to come back to the space, that it was that we're working in. Really appreciated the warmth and the support of all the other members of the working group. I think we need, I don't know about you guys, but like this pandemic, it's weird because on one hand, it feels like life is so chaotic, but on the other hand, it feels like life is just so boring and monotonous. And that contributes to the exhaustion. You're pulled between those two things. But I feel like having these kinds of conversations that we're going to be having over the next few weeks is going to add a bit of spice, to life. I'm ready to get spicy. It's almost the end of the year. Let's liven things up a bit and just, I'm really excited.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Michael, do you want to share how you're feeling?
Yeah, well, this year has been crazy. I mean, like, I think for everyone, the past year has been insane, but especially I think for us here in Ghana, we know it's been a lot of upheaval and a lot of craziness. So it's been very weighing heavily on my mind as well. So, like, when Kafi approached me for this festival, I was like, absolutely, because like I feel like we need as much of these, celebrations of our genuine, of like who we are and stuff like that as much as possible. And I felt like I was absolutely down to do this. So I'm very excited to experience this for the first time. And I'm glad to be here.
Yay! How about you, Akusia?
Adventures has come to kind of give us a wrap up of the year through a festival in a sense, and give us hope despite everything that's been happening. I mean, you guys know we plan things in certain ways, and this year we saw how governments and politics and hateful NGOs can bring change into our lives in crazy ways. And I was stressed a lot, depressed a lot, because we wanted this to be a physical festival. But then there's always a reason for a thing. And besides, this year is about magic and transformation, meaning physically means nothing. Dimensions and breaking boundaries is what this is. So
Awesome. Thank you so much. So this year, as I said earlier, our theme is Transformational Adventures, Sex, Power, Magic. I wanted to ask you, Akusia and Paula, as festival co-directors, to speak a little about the theme of the festival. What does it really mean? But also, what's the importance of this particular theme and the conversations in our current global context, whereby we're seeing like repression against the rights of women, repression against abortion rights, against the rights of sexual and gender minorities. I mean, obviously this is important, but I want you to speak to like how important the theme is. So any of you can go first.
I would love Paula to start, because honestly, the intersection of it was really from Paula's mind. It was one Friday afternoon. I remember very well. I had a long day at work, and then I had the call with Paula, and then poof, she just watched me, with all of that. So
Paula is brilliant. Paula is so brilliant.
I was graciously to be like, please, not me. Let me to talk to it. And I think it's actually, in a way, it pulls together things we've been talking about in the Adventures space and Adventures Live, even last year. And I think the theme is pretty direct: sex, power, magic, transformational adventures. And what we're trying to do is explore how the intersection of all of these is transformative in our personal lives, in our social lives, in our political lives. I think there's been a lot more conversation, a lot of overdue conversation in the past few years about the intersections of sex and power, in positive and in negative ways. In many ways, it is a very positive force, or has the potential to be a very positive force. The way that people owning themselves, their bodies, having complete autonomy and freedom of expression in that space does contribute to our sense of freedom, our sense of personal power, and then of course that spills over into how we interact with the space around us. And that then magnifies into our social spaces, into our political spaces. On the other hand, that is also something that can be used in a very negative way. And I think a lot of conversation tends to be around that. If you think about the Me Too movement and other campaigns over the past few years, we've just been speaking about what's happening in Ghana, and the way that the recognition of that power, I think, does sometimes trigger a negative reaction, a repression, wanting to regulate the way that people move and the freedom that people feel. And really, the most intimate space that you can have is within your body, and that's why sex is such an intimate act, and when that is controlled and that is repressed, it's kind of a foundation from which many other forms of repression are subsequently layered. And I think there are many different groups around the world who feel and experience that in different ways, and so we're exploring that not only from the negative but also from the positive side, because I think it's also a celebration. It's not just a conversation, it's also a celebration of the ways in which we enhance and embrace our power. And the magic is connected to that. And it's magic in the way that anyone standing fully in their power and freedom is kind of a force of magic, a force of change, a channel through which unexpected and beautiful things happen, which I think is the definition of magic. But also we're diving deeper into the spirit of things and spirituality, beliefs, traditions, history, because as we all know as Africans, our history has been modified and interrupted and erased in many spaces. And with the festival, we're also trying to dive a bit deeper into how before a lot of these external influences, how we understood the role of sex within spirituality traditionally, and how that connects to the power we had then and now, both again in our personal spaces, but also the way we engage with sex and sexuality as a community.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I think it was quite comprehensive, intense. Akusi, I don't know if you have anything else to add to that.
I think she covered it wonderfully. You see why? And I think this is the point, right? of conversations like this. All I'll say is I'll add that think of it also as an inner and an outer journey for you during this festival. Paula has very well covered the outer, the politics and all that's been happening and how that affects it. Power as empowerment and power as abuse. And then also think about it in the inner. And when we talk about the inner, think about a transformational sexual experience. What made that transformational? Drawing on that power, drawing on that energy to enhance yourself. Throughout this festival, we're going to be having a series of conversations, and by all means, we can't cover everything. The universe of things it can cover under the theme, but then we'd hope that every conversation would at least lead you to research something or think about something and further, delve into deeper reflections on this topic, inner and outer. Because in the end, it's not just us, it's you. It's a communication between all of us together in this virtual global space, an African space. And transformation is not only going to be done from our end, it also requires you and your intention. So that's what I'll add.
Thank you. Transformation can be done. It requires intention and requires everybody's participation. Thank you so much. That's so wonderful. So Michael, I was going to ask you about the cover art. In the course of the festival, people are going to have to interact with the art. It's really awesome. And so first of all, I'll ask you to kind of describe, what are the elements of the artwork, and as a creative person, artists, they have a way of saying things. So I would ask you to describe it, and also kind of obviously describe what is in the art, but also talk about your creative process, as someone who's an artist, but also a political person, an activist, what's the intersection between art and politics? And because we're also talking about, sex, we're talking about magic, we're talking about power, and there's so much power in art, because even when you're not allowed to speak, especially again, given the context we are now, where there's a lot of repression happening, we're seeing so many different forms of expression happening through art. So I also wanted to talk to you about how how did you how did you do it basically? Because it's like it was an idea. We're like, hey Michael, we have this idea, do so and so and so, and like you created a wonderful piece for us. So what's like that creative process like?
Sure. It's so funny how you mentioned about art being like kind of like almost like a last resort when you can't speak up for yourself as fully as you would want to, because literally that's all my art has ever been for me. Especially lately, I've been trying to be a lot more just more open would be the word, I guess, with because I'm the kind of person who doesn't who can find communication a bit difficult sometimes. So art is the easiest medium for me. My activism with arts is really just trying to be honest about how I like a lifelong struggle with like gender identity and like sexuality, and like trying to come to that freedom and to really just kind of like stamp, like just like put like a full stop on things, and like this is exactly how I'm feeling and who I am and stuff like that. So I try to be honest in that way, and I feel like that people respond to that, and I get a lot of really encouraging DMs from people who feel the same way, and like I don't know, sort of like relate to it in a real way. So with the work, we had the themes were that Kafui presented his research to me basically, based on bodies as power and sexuality and spirituality, and like how those intersect. And he presented all this amazing research he'd done on African spirituality and mythologies from Burkina Faso, the Dagara people, and how they sort of viewed queer people as these people that inhabited this almost like a liminal space, like a in-between space between the physical realm and the spiritual realm, and how they were gatekeepers of knowledge and like help with the well-being of society, and like how they were valued in the communities. And I mean, this is all like extremely valuable, because like all you need to do is go on Twitter and you hear like 50 million people saying how we are some kind of import from the Western world and we are just never, meant to exist on this continent. But like we are just as African as anything else, and we and it's always sort of affirming to like sort of hear these about these cultures who, like you said, like Paula said, have been like scrubbed clean and like have been made to like look like they never existed. So if you look at the artwork, it has there's a couple of figures on the globe in the 69 position, and they are kind of creating this portal that sort of opening portal to the spiritual realm. And on top of that portal, you see Maulisa, who is from the Fon people from Dahomey, which is currently Benin, and also Ewe mythology, actually. So Maulisa is this androgynous deity who is like a creator deity, both male and female, representing both halves of humanity, basically. So they sort of exist together in one body, and they are overseeing in the painting. They are overseeing all the activity that's going on, the energy that's being created from the 69, and like sort of like how that's kind of sort of like it's kind of how we're talking about how sex can be this very powerful thing, and how it can be very positive, and how it can sort of like unlock, how it can transcend the physical realm and make you feel connected to something greater. And it's basically that. And around the globe, we have I chose some deities from like Yoruba culture and one from Egyptian culture to sort of I don't know, sort of represent how I was feeling this year as a queer person in Ghana. Like, so if you start anti-clockwise, of course, going against the grain. So there's this dark figure right next to Maulisa, that's Nut, the Egyptian goddess of night. And I thought that presented like the mystery and how we sort of have to live in plain sight, but also sort of concealing parts of ourselves for safety and stuff like that. So it's that weird dichotomy. Then we go on to Oya, who is the Orisha of hurricanes and lightning, and sort of like almost this deity that almost represents the how transformative anger and like fury can be, and like how it can be a potent force to like move things forward, and like that kind of frustration, and she's this like swirling figure covered in electricity, and it's just like this energy that I feel like that's what drives people to like demand what's right for them, what they deserve, like, you know, like being like held down for so long and being like, you know what, I have to bust free, and like this is what that kind of energy represented for me. And then going on to Yamoja, who is the sort of like a mother goddess, and she represents the seas, and I felt like she was like a kind of like a grounding force, and how almost like a mother figure, and how that can be healing for a lot of queer people, because, you know, with family that can be very difficult, and having that there to sort of represent the fact that we are all divine children, and we all like we all exist because we are meant to. Then we have finally, I ended on Oshun, who is of course, like, she represents joy and sexuality and celebration, which I felt like is what the festival is about. We're supposed to be rejoicing in who we are and embracing all of that, and that's why I wanted to end on her, because I felt like that's the ultimate goal, to just to have the freedom and create reality from joy and happiness and sexuality, of course. Yeah. Yeah. So basically that was the concepts, and of course you can see the water swirling around the globe. That's also from our mythology. It's sort of like how the world was created and how they visualized the world being wrapped around by water and like encapsulated in this a gourd that contained the cosmos. So yeah, I think that's almost everything we incorporated into the painting. Yeah, I think that's what we convey.
Yeah, I'm so blown away by the sheer brilliance of it all. I'm so blown away. I think you really covered everything, you know, even just like the way, like the passion with which like you even, you know, describe the things. It's so magical, but it's also like real. It's magical and it's real. And there's something about, you know, the way that the artwork kind of like really draws on like African tradition. And so it also says a lot even about if we're thinking of like coloniality, and how, you know, in the sense that, you know, the idea of like African religions, African spirituality is seen as like magical in a way that is not real. It's magical and it's real. And so it's just like thank you. Thank you. And to everyone who is joining us so far. We've been speaking with Akosia, Hansen, and Paula, and also Michael on the working group of Adventures Live 2021. We kind of gave like a brief intro into the festival. We've talked about the theme, what it means, and Michael has given us this really brilliant explanation of the cover art. And now we are joined by Malaika, who is a co-founder of Adventures Live.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, I feel like you came like at a perfect time, because like I was literally going, like I had a question for you right after Michael, because like, you know, Michael has said a lot about, you know, the artwork, talking about like how the, apart from the art itself, but also the festival, the conversations, everything around it, it's very it's like standing up to patriarchy, standing up to the state power. And so I wanted you to speak to like the context, the Ghanaian context right now, because, you know, in the previous years we managed to pull the festival off like in the physical space, you know, have community gathered, but this year we've had to take it online due to certain circumstances that have happened in the country. And it's like all of these things are pointing to, again, like a colonized idea of who are we as Africans and our understanding of our sexuality. And so I wanted to ask you to first of all speak to the reason why the festival has had to be pushed offline, but also for you to give some commentary on what's the role of the Adventures Live Festival in like disrupting state power and disrupting patriarchal power.
Awesome, thank you. And just to let everybody know, we are in the middle of a storm here, so if my internet cuts out, please forgive me. I will log right back in. But Michael, I wanted to say, at first glance, I was like, when we first saw the artwork, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing art. And, I'd also seen Kafui's notes, obviously, but the detail and the thought that you put into this is just mind. And I've learned so much in just a few minutes that you've spoken. So I'm like really interested just to research more about each of the deities that you described, because I believe in magic. I believe in the divine. And even in planning this festival, I've literally seen magic happen. Because it's been crazy. So to answer, Fatima, your question, to get into that, the context that we're working in right now is it's really difficult, and it's confusing, and it's like, what in the world is going on? Because everyone is like, oh, this isn't the Ghana that I know, and it really isn't the Ghana that I have known growing up. So for everyone watching right now, in previous years, we've been able to hold the physical festival. Our first festival was 100% in person, and that was when the world was a normal place. And then last year in 2020, we had, the pandemic. So, we were forced to just kind of pivot and include an online aspect of it, which was, good and bad. It was mostly good. And then this year we had, we looked at the world in our planning in January and said, what's the world going to look like, after COVID? And we were all looking forward to the after COVID, and that would be, post-vaccine. What we didn't anticipate is that there would be a draconian anti-LGBT bill that is being pushed through Parliament or presented to Parliament that hasn't been pushed through yet. But the idea is, or the feeling in the country is, if they were to hold a referendum today, that bill would pass, because that's just how anti-queer, just how homophobic, just to say it plainly, our Ghanaian society is. And so what I'm really excited about with this part of the festival and the learning and and getting so many different people on board is that there have always been queer people. There are always going to be queer people, and it's not a Western import. This is part of our humanity. There is nothing that makes queerness African or un-African. It's part of our shared human experience. And so that's what I'm most excited about, with the theme with this festival. So the reason I'm saying I believe in magic is because, if you could be a fly on the wall when we were planning this, because we had our hearts set on having a physical festival this year, because we were going to have the vaccine and everybody was going to be able to fly in. It was going to be amazing. And then here comes this bill. So I was knocking my head on the wall. I'll just speak for myself. I can't say for anybody else, but it was like the frustration and the heartbreak. And I was like, what are we going to do? Because everyone is Zoom weary. Everyone is like kind of Facebook Live weary. And so I just want to give kudos to one of our board directors, Rosa Freire, who came with this brilliant idea. She said, why don't we have a virtual reality festival? I was like, okay. So we did some digging into it. We contacted Venue 3D. They're based out of San Francisco. We explained the need, and they said, you know what, we'll work with you. And I'm not going to say how much it cost, but I was like, that is not in the budget. But this is where the magic comes in, right? The magic comes in because we're like, we've got 2 cents. And they said, you know what? This is a good cause. We believe in you. We will do this for 2 cents. And so we're going to be able to have kind of like mirror a physical festival, which to me is like a punch in the face to the patriarchy. It's a punch in the face, to the homophobia, because that just doesn't happen on a normal basis. And so anybody who's going to be able to, or who will join us, will be able to communicate from anywhere in the world. You don't have to get a ticket. You'll be able to create your avatar, and then communicate with people. We're going to be able to have more booths this year, because when you have the physical festival, it's limited to whoever's there. We're inviting people from all over the continent and the diaspora to open up a booth. If you've got sex education material that you want to share, books, any sort of service that is empowering and sex positive and affirming for all of us as Africans on the continent, the diaspora, we want you to open up a booth. We want you to share your voice. We want you to be in this environment with us. And so this festival is truly Pan-African, and being able to host it in this virtual reality environment really, gives us that tool to be truly Pan-African, and inviting so many people from across the continent that we've always had a heart for, because it's not cheap to fly in anywhere. And especially now where you've got to pay for this test, you've got to get, you've got to get your clear test from where you're from, pay when you arrive at the airport, pay for another test when you leave. It's really cost prohibitive. So the magic comes in because all of our despair has turned into joy, as far as I'm concerned. And I really do feel like that is the ancestors' way of like saying, hey, we've got your back. We're going to make this happen. So just presenting what they say in, my grandmother used to say, a closed mouth don't get fed. You have to say what it is that you want if you're going to get what you want to get. So to answer your question, Fatima, about, this being, standing up to the patriarchy, I think part of the work when we discussed this as a working group, it was like, how are we going to overcome this? Because it just seemed insurmountable. It just seemed, because I wish everyone could see the ideas that we had, that we were sharing around. Maybe we could have satellite, satellite festival in different places. It's like we were just throwing stuff at the wall, and this is what stuck. And I believe that this is a time for us as Africans of all stripes to really come together and support one another, because when we are suppressing and oppressing a group, that only supports the cause of colonialism. That's a dividing force. And so if we can learn to love each other, and then will be an environment where we can share in speaking to one another, and speaking to one another, not at one another. I think that'll be a powerful thing. And that in itself is standing up to patriarchy. When we talk to each other instead of at each other, because patriarchy seeks to suppress and oppress and supplant. And, feminism, womanism, any cause that is dear to you, that seeks for equality, wants to communicate and understand. And that's really the heart of this festival, and always has been the heart of this festival, to communicate, to understand, and to uplift and to empower. So please come on November 6th. There'll be details to follow on the blog, on all of our socials. And yeah, if you want to open up a booth, please do. We're going to have a concert. It's going to be amazing. The working group has put in so much work that I'm so proud of and so grateful for. And the festival is just going to get better and better. This is the best festival for me to date, and it's just going to get better.
Okay, so Malika, I just wanted to because you spoke about vendor booths. So if people want to open vendor booths, what should they do?
Okay, so they can send an email to us at adventuresfrom@gmail.com. You can also DM us on Twitter and on Instagram and express your interest, and then we will submit or send you a form, and that will tell you what the process to get your booth open and to reserve your spot. So just to describe the booth, we will any specifications on the type of vendor. So vendors don't have to follow any sort of specifications. I mean, it just has to be sex positive, affirming, and do no harm. We really want to open this up to as many people who have an interest in supporting, sex, sexuality, pleasure, freedom for women, femmes, activists, queer folk. And so if you have artwork that you want to display, come get a booth. If you have books that you would like to share that you've written, come get a booth. If you've got a blog or if you sell sex toys and accessories, come get a booth. So essentially what will happen is you'll create a video, and it can be of any length. And then we'll have a vendor hour where we invite all the vendors to come in. And so everyone who's participating in the festival can come and talk with you and chat with you while you're at your booth. And so it'll happen kind of like a chat section on the side of your screen. If somebody asks you a question, you can chat with them directly, or you can just speak to whoever is surrounding your booth. But again, there'll be more details to follow. And we'll also have a warming event so that everybody can get acclimated with the venue, virtual reality environment. And so when you come in on the day of the festival, when you experience the entire festival on that day, it won't be foreign to you. We would have had an event the week before just to, a meet and greet, a mixer, an icebreaker, so that everybody is familiar and comfortable with the environment. Did I answer your question, Fatsi?
Yes, that did answer this so well. Thank you so much. So I had another question for Paula and Akosia. Anything to expect from the festival in terms of like the content? What kind of conversations should we look out for? If you can give a sneak peek into some of the things we'll be talking about, the panels, workshops, just like a teaser.
We can give a small teaser. All information will be available online, so please do follow the social media platforms on Instagram, Twitter. I wanted to say them right now, but I'm so worried I'll get them wrong, but I'm sure we'll share them before the end of this session. But yeah, they're going to be conversations around the themes as we've described them so far, and the different angles as well that we mentioned in the introduction that we're exploring. So some of them coming from the empowerment, kind of celebrating and exploring the ways that we personally, as well as through artistic expressions, do embrace that connection between sex and power and magic. So conversations around pop culture, and also around people's individual journeys with this. We'll also be having conversations with spiritual practitioners about their understanding from different settings and different perspectives, of the way that these themes, not only historically, but even today, affect our lives and shape the transformation that we go through as individuals as well as communities. Of course, there's always lots of art at Adventures, visual, musical. Big shout out to the artists who will be coming to bring their energy through. And the booths, as Malaka just described as well, provide another window to kind of build community and for people to share different products and expressions that connect with the theme from all over. What I always really like about Adventures is I think wherever you are, we're in very different sorts of spaces. So Malaka, you're in South Africa, I'm in Rwanda, you guys are in Ghana, and we have people who not only tune in, but even contribute and participate from different countries. And I think it's so beautiful. Beyond the specifics of the discussions, it's just beautiful to be able to create communities where we can have these conversations and look at the ways in which we share, we have common experiences, and also the ways in which we differ. And that friction, I think, is really helpful for helping us expand our minds, and so much harder at a time like this when we all kind of staying still as much as possible. So to be able to break past that is a kind of magic in itself. So I'm really looking forward to that. And yeah, I'll hand over to Akosia just to talk a bit about expectations and what you're looking forward to in the festival and what folks can be looking forward to as well.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I guess then I'll just add the structure of the festival. So this month of October is going to be the pre-festival. We're going to be having about 2 panel discussions online, and then other things in between. And the main festival is actually going to be happening on November 6th and 7th. It's a weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Make it a time you stay at home, have your laptop in front of you, join in on all the conversations. You can go through the booths, the exhibitions. So yeah, that is going to be on the Saturday and Sunday, November 6th and 7th, via the Venue 3D platform, and also on our socials, YouTube as well. I hope everyone joins us. This, like I said earlier, this is going to be something all of us do together. We can't touch on everything, but we want that by the end of the festival, at least a transformation or a reminder of a transformation, one way or the other, across the breadth of topics we discussed. So yeah.
Thank you. And also final question to you, Michael. What kind of conversations are you looking forward to people having, especially around the arts? What do you want to see or hear people talk about? What do you want people to talk about? I just also want to get your perspectives on that as well.
Right. I can't wait, because I feel like artists just always have some unique take on things, some way of processing things that is very interesting. And I just, more than anything, almost more than looking at something, I just love to hear people talk about like how they got to a certain point with their work. So I feel like sometimes being queer in Africa can feel like a conflicting thing, and like that I feel like can create some really thought-provoking and very interesting pieces and performances, and I just can't wait to see like how people sort of like communicate what they're going through, and I feel like that can be very educational for everybody. And really, I just love, like, even here, whenever I get the opportunity to go to like a queer event just for the community, it's so transformative, it's so healing, and like it's unparalleled. So like I feel like just that, honestly, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to a lot of perspectives. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Malika, one final thing. If people want to support the festival, what kind of support are we looking for, and how can they do that?
Oh, Charlie, the Black Jew in me was like, money, yo! If people want to support the festival, I would say, first of all, spread the word. Please, invite people to come. Please share the details on your socials. That would be number one. I know that there are, we have so many just great people who support us financially. We do have a Flutterwave account. If you would like those details, we can also send that to you if you want to give monetary support. And yeah, I would just say send positive vibes and healing to all of us who've done this work and the planning, and those who will be attending. It's a very difficult time to be queer in Africa, to be an ally even. Like this bill that we spoke about earlier seeks to criminalize kindness and allyship as well. So yeah, those would be the main ways that I would ask for support. But if Paula and Akosia, if I've done any other oversight, please do jump in here as well.
No, I think you covered it really well. I think the only thing I would add, beyond the festival itself, as we've mentioned a few times, is the personal journeys and the sort of transformation that we hope this means as well for people as individuals. The festival is, I think, a very important space and energy that we bring to that journey, but also encouraging all of us to step, as we step away from the space where all these exciting conversations are happening, to carry that energy as well into our lives and communities wherever we are, and just to think of it as not an event necessarily, but I guess a current that can also help us rethink how we engage with these issues in our communities and within ourselves.
Thank you so much, Paula. Thank you, Malika. We're just wrapping up the conversation now. I wanted to ask for any final words, final thoughts from any of you, all of you. Yeah, and then we would call it a.
Well, I'll just jump in, sorry, to say that everyone, please engage with us during this festival. It promises to be so exciting. Follow us on all our social media adventures and yeah, talk to us as well. It's not going to be one-sided. We'll post questions. Feel free to talk to us in our comments. Feel free to share stories. Feel free to share experiences. And yeah, that way we'll make it a great festival. And thank you to the working group. I must say, you've done amazing work throughout the year. Thank you so much. We are here. We made it. So yeah, thank you all so much. And here's to a powerful festival 2021.
Yeah, that was going to be my comments. Thank you to the working group. I mean, the circumstances under which, you know, we've done this year and made this possible. I'm in awe of, you know, everyone who's put so much energy into this, who's given so much of themselves. I mean, each of you knows what you've done, and what you've sacrificed. And, you know, on behalf of, you know, not myself as co-founders of Adventures, I just want to thank you so much, literally from the bottom of my heart, because I know what you've given and the time and the effort and the personal and the financial sacrifices that, you know, that you've made. So thank you.
Thank you. Any final thoughts, comments from you, Michael?
Yeah, I'm just really excited to be a part of this. This is like I said, it's my first time, so it's like I'm kind of taking everything in as going on. But like, yeah, seems like a lot of good energy going on, and I think everybody is gonna really benefit from all of this. And yeah, I'm looking forward to learning a lot. Yeah.
Thank you. It was a real pleasure to work with you this year. So thanks to everyone who's joined this live. We're about to call it a day. Please watch out for updates, information. We would be sharing it everywhere, so you can check our website www.adventuresfrom.com. We're on Facebook, Adventures TV. We're on Instagram at Adventures From. We're on Twitter, Adventures at Adventure From. We're literally also we have a YouTube channel, so like we're everywhere on the internet. Please like our videos, like our content, share with your friends, with your family, hopefully. Share with your friends and your family, invite people. Also, please interact with us. Our DMs are open. You can email us if you have any questions, you have thoughts, you have suggestions, you just have anything that you want to share. Please feel free. You can email us, you can DM us, you can tag us on socials. And that being said, thanks to everyone, thanks to the working group, thanks to my guests, and I wish you all an exciting and a fun-filled festival. Bye, everyone.